So I'm a tenant here at Tathony House, and we have a rally here today because today was supposed to be our eviction date. This is a mass eviction, so we're obviously fighting this through the RTB, so through the legal processes, but we've also been campaigning around getting Dublin City Council to buy this block. It would mean that we could stay in our homes, but unfortunately our landlord has refused to engage with the council at this stage. Today is the 2nd of June. It's the date that's on the front of our eviction notices. But as you can see, we are all still here. The tenants of Tathony House are still here. Thanks to all of you for all your support. I see loads of faces here that have been to all of our rallies, and it's really inspirational. There are also other tenants standing here today who are also facing eviction from their homes, and we will stand in solidarity with them whenever they call on us to come and support them when they need us. What we're hoping to do is bring change for the future so that this can't happen to other people. I mean, it's great to see the solidarity that's been shown to us. We're hoping to repay that to other tenants who are in the same position as us, but also hoping to ultimately change the law in this country so that tenants can't be evicted on grounds of sale.
A landlord can sell the roof out from under me, can sell my home, can put me into emergency accommodation. In 14 other European countries, what's happening here in Tathony House would be against the law.
James O'Toole, I'm one of the tenants here at Tathony House, where an entire block is facing mass eviction into the certainty of emergency accommodation and homelessness. So we're basically resisting our mass eviction. We're resisting it on the streets, we're resisting it by community organising, and we're resisting it in the courts and through the RTB. Every means that we have at our
we have to say that whether you're living in council estate, whether you're living in rundown public housing, whether you're living in private housing, we need to unite and we need to fight back and we need to draw a line in the stand. You need to organise your community to stand with you. Because when I see all you standing here today, it gives me the confidence to fight on. I don't care if private security thugs knock on my door. I'm going to tell them to get lost. I'm not leaving my flat. I don't care if the county sheriff knocks on my door with bailiffs and the police. I'm telling them to get lost because I will not volunteer for emergency accommodation. I don't care if the 4 horsemen of the fucking apocalypse come to my door. I'm not backing down and I'm not leaving my house. Eviction day! No way! Eviction day! No way! Eviction day! No way! Join CATU, get organised, stay in your homes, don't bow down to this rotten government or rotten landlords.
Hi everyone, my name is Danielle and I've been living here in this country for 7 years almost, and I fell in love with this lovely country. I'm Mexican, but I'm very proud of you. 6 months ago, we got the eviction notice, and we thought we were alone. We didn't know if we had some rights or not, and we realized that our neighbors were going through the same situation, and we were in contact. We realized we were not alone. Then CATU came. And then a lot of people came, Irish people, Brazilian people, people from everywhere, and they started helping us. We don't want to cause any hardship, but we don't want to be homeless. Thank you everyone for being here. Hopefully this doesn't happen to you, and I think we are here because of that reason, to stop this. Everyone has the right to have a roof on their heads. Thanks very much.
He's in the mood for doing a bit of singing then, yeah? So this is a song about getting rid of Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael, and how the more we see things like this, the more hope it'll probably give other people, and hopefully we'll... So the refrain is just, we will rise, we will rise, we will rise. When we've had enough of government corruption, yeah, all the brown envelopes and lies, and when we say we won't lie here and just take it, oh, we will rise, we will rise, we will rise. So when all of their lies have been spoken, and all of their promises are broken, And there will finally come a day when we finally say no more. We will rise, we will rise, we will rise. And we'll say no more will you rule us. Yeah, no more of your lies. And no more of your bullying. Oh, we will rise, we will rise, we will rise. So when all of our lives are bought and sold, and all of our future's been foretold, and there will finally come a day when we finally say no more, and we will rise, we will rise, we will rise. And we'll say no more will you rule us. Yeah, no more of your lies. And no more of your bullying. Oh, we will rise, we will rise, we will rise. Said we will rise, we will rise, we will rise. Oh, we will rise, we will rise, we will rise.
This is my third time speaking at one of these rallies now. I hope it's one of my last times. To get up here and to constantly have to reaffirm that, you know, people are entitled to a roof over their heads, people are entitled to a basic human right. The idea of CATU as a community and tenants union is to link together different struggles that tenants and communities are facing across the island of Ireland. It's about coming together and really putting pressure collectively on the governments to make a change and to actually work in the interests of tenants and communities, to fight back against the power landlords have. They have power, they have money, they can lobby. Tenants on their own, individual, isolated, don't have that. So that's why we're building a union. This isn't limited to just private rental. It's about tenants of all backgrounds standing together, you know? It's not just tenants at Tathony House, it's the tenants from down the road who are being evicted. It's the tenants from across the canal that are having issues in their social housing accommodation. Or it's the people who are in homelessness currently or having issues accessing emergency accommodation. Or people in direct provision unable to access appropriate services. The idea is we stand with everyone. If you're interested in helping enforce an eviction ban because the state won't give us one, we have to make it happen ourselves. We have to make evictions impossible to carry out. We have to make those who target people who carry out evictions, landlord, security, and the state, we need to make their lives unlivable, basically. If you're interested in doing that, talk to us, get involved, get active in your local union branch, and stand up for yourself and your neighbours. Cheers.
This place, we called it the nucleus of the resistance to the evictions, right? And it has become that. But then I'm talking to people who come and see me who are absolutely in dire straits and agreed to allow themselves, through no fault of their own, to go homeless. And they're looking at this and saying, we made a mistake. We actually made a mistake. We should have fought and we should have stayed. So this fight just needs to keep continuing and let it grow. I think what we all have to do, Connolly said, if you don't get rid of who we have now, who have grown in strength, if you don't get rid of them, we're in the same position. But this is a nucleus movement of all of us who believe in human rights and believe the right to a housing, the right to health, the right to education, who believe that we all are community and look after each other, and we get rid of racism, and we get rid of hate, and we get rid of, we don't take any truck with them. What we do, we disturb the universe, and we continue to disturb the universe, because that will get results. Gurmila Malgo.
Usually, Madeleine, we're standing in a very small minority in South Dublin County Council, trying to prevent the sell-off of public land, trying to prevent the transfer of wealth away from public ownership into private ownership, sell-offs, affordable housing, and all the many guises that are used by the system. I was struck by a few things over the last couple of weeks in the mainstream media and things that were said today. One thing that struck me was James's comment about legislation in other countries. 40 days ago in this country, what's happening here couldn't have happened, because the government deemed the situation to be at such an emergency that no-fault evictions were actually banned. So the idea that action can't be taken now to prevent this kind of situation is absolutely just laughable. One sweep of a pen and this situation could be solved in favour of tenants in Tathony House and tenants across the state who are facing into this situation. But of course we don't put our faith in legislation. It comes down to real struggle. If we can mobilise around Tathony House and make this a situation that there will be no resolutions for the owners of this building until there is satisfactory resolution for every tenant in Tathony House in the form of secure, affordable accommodation, giving them the basic things they need. One of the other things that struck me over the course of the week was the census figures and the record number of workers in Ireland at this moment in time, and the record low of unemployment. And to me, it just demonstrates the inability of capitalism to organise the productive powers of working class people to provide us with the most basic things we need: housing, affordable energy, education, a health system that works and serves the population instead of serving profit. So whilst we're fighting Tathony House and defending the residents here, we also need to raise not just criticisms of the government, but criticisms of the structural system that allows this kind of situation to develop. I think we can do that. We have to make tenants' rights a red line issue for any party that will consider going into government. And that doesn't just mean in the forms of legislation and stronger anti-eviction laws. It means in the terms of affordability, access to public housing. And it's very, very important that when we're tackling the racist ideas that are developing in our society, we also tackle the structural issues that are allowing them to grow. And that's providing working class people and communities with the resources that we need to provide people with the basics in society. We're not going to get any of that granted to us from above. It's going to come through real struggle. We're lucky here, I think, that we have James and Madeleine who are used to fighting, and we're lucky that there are residents here who are willing to take the stand. We need to get down to the nitty-gritty, organising rosters. What do we do when the hired thugs come up? What do we do when the uniformed thugs turn up? How do people learn how to take a stand in these situations? What do we learn from the Debenhams experience? When the police turn up, they won't turn up as a neutral observer. They'll turn up to drag people from their homes. So we're constantly learning lessons, and I hope we can bring them to this campaign, and I hope that me and my party can bring the solidarity that's required over the next period of time. A huge kudos to you both and to all your colleagues in Tathony House.
I do really want to say how proud I am of Madeleine, who's a councillor for People Before Profit, and James, who's a long-standing member, and how they've organised and stood up and fought back and galvanised their neighbours and a campaign around them. And I think the lesson from today is that you can fight, you can resist, you don't have to give in to the demands of the landlords. When your eviction notice is issued, you can resist. One of the glaringly obvious things that are missing in this country are tenants' rights. If you lived in Berlin or Lyon or Madrid, you would have a security of tenure, and at no stage can you be evicted for no fault of your own. We don't have that here, and it's remarkable when you think back on our history. Going right back to the Land League in the 1800s, there were 3 demands: fixity of tenure, freehold and fair rents. And over 150 years later, and the 3rd richest country on the planet, we still can't give that to ordinary people. Isn't that remarkable? And doesn't it mostly say about the sort of political leadership that we've had in this country since we've had our independence? Tenants in any private setting in this country are being faced with absolute desperation and either 2 choices: one, resist, fight, stay where you are, or give in and go into homelessness. And I think the first choice is far better, far healthier, far more positive, and most likely to give you results. So there's nothing like fighting back and getting organised. That requires an absolute mass movement of workers, of homeless people, of students, of elderly people, of those of us who suffer under their rule. We have to stand together and unite and fight. And there's no room for division on the grounds of there's too many of them coming in from Ukraine or too many of them coming in from any other country. There's no room for division. Now more than ever we need unity, and we need unity of purpose. There's enough in this country to look after every man, woman and child in it, and never let that racism divide us. But thankfully today we're really seeing a great example that can be held up to others about how communities, workers, tenants and everybody can get together and fight back and resist eviction. We need to see more of it, and we need people to get political and get organised into parties, left-wing parties that'll challenge the government, that'll get rid of Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael and force them, after 150 years, to give the people of this country a dignity, a decency and the rights they deserve. Thank you.
The Tathony House eviction shows that you can organise with your neighbours, that you can resist eviction, that you don't have to go quietly into emergency accommodation. And I think everybody needs to follow our example. And whether you're in public housing or you're in private housing, whether your landlord is Dublin City Council or whether your landlord is a private landlord, I think we all need to unite and take to the streets.
As somebody who's facing eviction myself, I find this movement very inspiring. inspiring. It's very encouraging for people not to leave their homes and walk out into homelessness. So thanks James, Madeleine and all the residency at Tathony House. Some people's misery, other people's gain. Enrich the rich and make them richer. They see property as opportunity, a business that'll make the sickness sicker. If they build too many houses, it'll drive down the price. It's cold economics to them, so there's no will to address it, cause it's not in their interest. We've seen it over time and time again. Everyone should have a home. Everyone should have a home. In this world, in this life, it's a basic human right to have a dignified place you call your own. Everyone should have a home. Everyone should have a home. Safe and warm where you belong. Everyone should have a home. Housing developers that are hung up on greed, hungry vultures swooping from the sky, crucifying rents that are on the increase. Shamefully they bleed the people dry. All the vacant properties, we can see them in our towns. Sign the papers and take down the boards. A home, not a hotel. A home, not a hostel. A home, not a cardboard box on the side of the road. Everyone should have a home. Everyone should have a home. Safe and warm where you belong. Everyone should have a home. Thanks.